Hello everybody, thanks for tuning in, and remember, if you'd like very affordable coaching that will really transform the course of your life and your path, it's very helpful. Shoot me an email. It's free consultation. First session is $5, and after that it's really affordable. So just my email's in the description, and yeah, just send me an email. Today, a lot of these things that I discuss in the YouTube videos are topics that come up in coaching sessions, and I've been coaching for quite some time now, and you get to see patterns in human behavior and what things cause people to struggle and suffer. And one of the things that we have been indoctrinated to chase success. There was a bad movie I watched the other day. It's called Greenberg, about this guy in his 40s, and everyone asked him, well, what are you doing with your life? What do you want to do? And he's like, nothing. That's it. I just want to do nothing with my life. I just want to be and just enjoy life and do nothing. I don't recommend seeing the movie. It's not the greatest movie, but I just like the concept and people's reaction when you tell them that you're doing nothing. You just want to be, because there's so much pressure for us to succeed, to accomplish things, to get further in our career, to make a name for ourselves, to get money, to get a wife, to get a husband, to accumulate possessions, to get a house. I mean, no wonder our society is so stressed out and there's so much anxiety. We're constantly made to feel that we're not good enough. We're not happy enough, and we believe the next thing is going to make us happy. So we're constantly chasing carrots, chasing things that are going to fix this internal angst. And I would say it's more of a cultural problem than a personal problem, because culturally, now I'm saying that's how we got to this problem. The solution lies with you, but culturally, when you get bombarded with advertisements, when your status is determined on what you've accomplished, how much money you have, who you know, all your connections, when you get the pressure from your parents and family, go to university, get a good degree, get a good job. When I told my family that I was dropping out of college and I was going to travel and see the world, they were like, there was so much resistance to that. And I was young at the time, and I really had to be strong in my belief that to follow my heart, to know that my intuition's leading me in the right direction, and to trust that. And I got so many comments, and what are you seeking? What are you chasing? What are you looking for? Oh, I would love to be able to drop out of society and travel the world and do things, but some of us have to be responsible. So you get all this kind of white sheep mentality. I eventually did end up going back to university and getting my degree, but I did it on my time, and I didn't do it because there was pressure. I did it because I wanted to. And a lot of the younger people that I coach, they're making career lifelong decisions based on obligation, based on pressure, based on not knowing what else to do. And I think it's much better to find out and discover who you are before you make such a long-term commitment. So part of the coaching process is, a lot of people, when they hire coaches, they think, oh, I'm going to hire a coach and he's going to make me successful, and he's going to make me rich, and he's going to make me famous, and I'm going to accomplish all these things. And while we do work a lot on goals and habits and self-discipline, that is not the primary focus. The primary focus is contentment, because isn't that the reason why we're doing all of this? Isn't that the reason why we're chasing all these things? Is for us to learn how, because we believe those things will make us content. And I learned this when I first started coaching. I would help people accomplish a lot of their goals. And they would accomplish the goal, and the one interesting reoccurring pattern I noticed is that they were still unhappy. They were still dissatisfied. It didn't satisfy that inner void, or that inner longing, because the external doesn't satisfy that internal void or that internal emptiness. Contentment doesn't come from the external or the outside, because the external and the outside and things in the world are in constant flux. They're always changing. They're not permanent. And so if they're not permanent, you're forever chasing things. And then it gets exhausting, it's stressful, it's anxiety provoking, and then we wonder why we're so unhappy as a society. And a lot of I do a lot of reading on self-help and self-development books and psychology books, and the things that I've read, sometimes a lot of the things that I'll read, or I used to read, I try to stay away from these books now, do more harm than good. You know, they'll emotionally pump you up, they'll charge you, get you all excited and energized, and to accomplish all these things, to be rich, to reach the top of the mountain. And it sets us up because not many people are able to make that huge of a sacrifice. Not many people get to the top of the pyramid, and they constantly feel like they're failed or they're not good enough. And I say that is such a common theme in coaching, is people being really judgmental, really self-critical, comparing themselves to other people, and not feeling like they're enough. And it is exhausting. And part of it is the advertisements, is the friends, the competition, social media, Facebook, our own internal happiness, thinking that the external will fix us and make us better. But all of that stuff, it's almost like a cult, being in a cult, chasing the external and being so driven that happiness is outside of who we are. And it's empty. And there's been studies, I think it was Dan Ariely who did the study. I'm not 100% sure. A study about what he calls baseline of happiness. And baseline of happiness is that he did a study of like people won the lottery, or people who had serious traumatic experiences in their lives, like, you know, being handicapped, losing a loved one, things like that. And what he found is that we get a temporary bump in happiness when we accomplish something great, or, you know, we get the girl that we always wanted, or the boy that we always wanted, or we get a new job promotion, and then we return to a baseline of happiness. And our baseline of happiness is what it previously was. So, you know, I think it's so silly for us to constantly be chasing this level of these external things that don't satiate. And it's much smarter and much wiser to focus on raising our baseline of happiness. And raising our baseline, so that's one of the things I focus on coaching, is one is we talk about it, and we do a lot of work on challenging some of the beliefs that we have, doing some deprogramming that you're only worthy if you accomplish X, Y, or Z. So raising the baseline of happiness, you know, the simplest things can and do bring the greatest joy. You know, spending time in nature, going for walks, being socially connected, being part of a community, doing creative pursuits, pursuing things like meditation, yoga, listening to beautiful music, or watching really great movies, or, you know, something related in the arts. But really, we're designed to be connected to people. And when we're not connected to people, and when we're not connected to source, we have such a deficit in the way that we live our lives. And so I'm a little bit distracted right now. Hold on one second. Okay. Thanks for bearing with me. Hold on, let me pause this. This will be part 2 of the video. Got a little sidetracked there. So now we're back talking about part 2. So the first part was about raising our baseline of happiness and focusing on the internal things that make us happy, because we're constantly chasing the external. And how long have you been doing that? Is it permanent? Does it lead to contentment and joy and passion and satisfaction? Yeah, maybe temporarily, and maybe you have a good job and a good career and you're passionate about those things. And I'm talking about moving in the direction of being independent on what does or doesn't happen in the world. Now that's true freedom, and, you know, who knows if we'll ever get to that point, but we can make through baby steps, we can make progress and be more and more disengaged on what does or doesn't happen, and finding contentment within, as cliche as it sounds. And that's what we need to do. We can't just flip on a light switch and say, okay, starting today, I'm gonna be content within. It's approaching it like an athlete would approach it. You've got to do some work. You gotta put the time in. You know, it's like going to the gym, the internal gym. And as I said before, you know, doing things like being connected with people, doing artistic and creative things, spending time with animals, meditating, journaling, watching good movies, you know, music, you know, these types of things. And what ends up happening as you strengthen this, if you want to call it spiritual muscle, for the lack of a better word, internal muscle, you start not being as affected by, you know, if someone cuts you off, or someone's rude to you, or things don't go your way, or you don't get the job, or you get rejected, or you fail at something. You're not as internally triggered. You're on a more solid foundation, more of a grounded foundation of peace and contentment and acceptance. So it's a beautiful thing. It's a constant work in progress, and just seeing the growth. If you decide to, you know, go down this path, you're going to get a lot of resistance, but just seeing the growth in your progress is very inspiring and motivating. And it's freeing. And isn't that what we all want? Is we all just want to be content. We all just want to be growing and improving on the quality of our lives. Okay, I think that wraps it up. Thank you very much for listening. Again, if you're interested in coaching, shoot me an email in the description, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.